friends, Laura A. Grace here, the author of Dear Author, Letters from a Bookish Fangirl, Team Lines of Poetry Collection, and Finding God Anime, a devotional for otakus, which is free on a variety of platforms. I'll leave a link down below in case if you'd like to check it out. Oh my goodness! Happy Friday, my friends! Happy Friday! It is the last Friday of the year, and I have met my biggest manga reading goal that I had for the year 2021, and that was to read Haikyuu. Oh my goodness, I read Haikyuu. I finished it. Oh my goodness, I am just like so excited that I finished finally Haikyuu. I started actually seriously reading in October. That's when my mobile device broke, and oh my goodness, it was so hard. I lost everything, and I lost a way to just stay connected with the community, and it was like, you know what? We have no reason not to start Haikyuu right now. And I haven't even shown the cover, but there is volume 1 of these amazing guys, and just this series. But yeah, as I was saying, sorry that in October my mobile device broke and I didn't have a way to just get on Instagram or to film videos or anything, and I was really bummed. And so since I had no way to stay connected really to any of my friends and whatnot, I decided to start Haikyuu. It was such a great decision, and then November hit and we just had so much sickness in November, and it was just wild, and I didn't really get back on the reading bandwagon until December, I feel. I feel like maybe I read a few novels or a few volumes in November, but then for the 25 days of manga, like halfway through, and it's so funny because I even did a video. I did a reading log of here's what I want to read for the 25 days of manga. I didn't read anything on that list except for Haikyuu, and it was just so funny because it was a sporadic last minute decision of you know what, let's try and actually finish Haikyuu in the year 2021. And here we are doing a video review. And of course, like always, I'm going to do my best to make this spoiler free, so I'm going to try not actually talk about certain things, but probably more of the characters, and things being different events that take place. That seems a little bit better said than just things. But in case, if you're not familiar with this incredible manga and the anime, Haikyu is about our guy right here. His name is Hinata Shoyo, or Shoyo Hinata, I mean, and he loves volleyball. Well, originally, I guess I should say that he saw the little giant play on TV, and he was considered short for being the ace, the guy that mainly usually scores the most points. And Hinata was like, wow, I want to be just like this guy. He got really into volleyball. He even decided to go to Karasuno, which was the team that the little giant played on. But the thing is before he got to Karasuno and such, he meets this guy right here, Kageyama, and they are opponents. It's in the only match that Hinata went to in middle school, and Kageyama's team, annihilates Hinata's team. It was horrible. It was really bad. So Hinata more or less tells him that he's going to beat him one day, and so they became these rivals. Hinata was like, I'm going to go to Karasuno, and I am just going to beat this dude one day. We are going to defeat him. Turns out Kageyama also went to Karasuno, and now they are teammates rather than rivals, and it centers around Hinata aspiring to be the little giant on his own team and just grow as a volleyball player, and just these amazing friendships that bloom just during these 45 volumes of epicness and of awesomeness, just amazingness. It is so good. And it's so funny because I feel like many Haikyuu fans are I never thought that I could get into a manga or an anime about volleyball, especially if they're I don't even like sports. I don't play volleyball. I like sports. My dad, actually, when I was growing up, played volleyball. He played sort of loose beach volleyball, not at the beach, but at the town that I grew up in, at the local Sonic, they had a beach volleyball thing, whatever you want to call it. And so I watched my dad regularly play volleyball often. So I feel like I was familiar with the sport, but then anyway, just life happened and I did not get back into volleyball until Haikyuu. Yes, 2 years ago, I believe, is when my friend Becca recommended it to me, and I watched the anime, and it just changed my life. It totally totally did. I mean, you guys hear me say that all the time, and I have a video, about to say video review, but a video of Top 5 Wednesday of why Hinata would be in my squad goals, and just everybody in this manga, like, dude, Sensei is a genius. He is amazing. So what's so awesome, I feel like, about this manga is really, it's like you're watching a match. Yes, you're watching a lot of matches, but I feel like the manga itself is like you're starting up, you're getting your gears working, you're getting familiar with everybody, you're getting warmed up, and then as it gradually progresses, you're getting those gears, like they're going faster, and this sense of momentum just keeps building and building until you get to the end and you are just full-fledged power going 120% out until you get to the end and you're just like, what just happened? Like, that was so exciting. You're on cloud 9, but you're also totally exhausted because you just read all these things that were happening and just all this amazing, fantastic character growth that is so inspiring, not just as a reader, but as a writer. Like, I literally, before this video, was chatting with my friend Mariah, and I was just like, the ending of this manga is serious goals. Like, as a writer, I'm just like, I hope my ending is just as awesome as the ending is this. And honestly, I cannot wait for the ending of this manga to get animated. It will be incredible. So good. So good. Yeah, and I just want to do like a random little note here or whatever. Like, I feel like this video will be everywhere. I feel like it's gonna be all over the place. I stayed up the past 2 nights pretty late and then just didn't sleep well because of my 2-year-old. And so I feel like I'm running on fumes a little bit, and I tried in my brain to write down, I said in my brain, of what I wanted to talk about. So totally bear with me if you're like, Laura, this is so chaotic. And I just apologize in advance. But I guess let's go ahead and start from the beginning. I have loved Hinata from the first time we met him. I feel like he's just this amazing young man, and I have just been hooked to him from the get-go. Interestingly enough, I did not like Kageyama. It's funny because when I first started, I was like, dude, Kageyama is a jerk. He's really rude, and I'm just like, how did I ever come to like this dude again? But as the manga progresses, yes. And I think when I got to volume 25 is what it was. It was volume 25. When I got to 25, I feel like this is Kageyama's moment to shine, and just, that is the peninsula of his growth. Well, probably not technically, but I feel like that was the moment that's like, I like Kageyama. Like, I am on Team Kageyama here. He grew so much in this volume. I feel like, I mean, everybody's growing, like, in every single volume, for sure. But I feel like with this volume specifically, it is the one that really Kageyama shines, and he just becomes, I feel like, maybe true to himself. I don't know if that's the right word for that, but he just, I don't know. It's where I got hooked on Kageyama and really felt like, man, like, this is his volume, this is his moment, and I am here for it all day. And it only keeps growing, though when things happen at the end, you know, I was definitely Team Hinata all the way. All the way, every day. And speaking of Kageyama, so yeah, I didn't really like him in the beginning that much. And the other person that I definitely did not like in the beginning, trying to find them on the cover, but they're on the back, is Suzuki. I did not like Suzuki. He honestly was my least favorite character on the Karasuno team, and I love Karasuno. Like, everybody on that team is my favorite. I love them all so much. They are the team that I long and wish to be real, actual characters that I can actually go, like, talk to and sit with and eat with. They're just amazing. But Suzuki was the only one that I never thought was super amazing, and I just have to say that I never, ever thought I would say that I was Team Suzuki. Like, I never thought that I would love his character and just be so excited for him. I feel like when we get to the Nekoma match that's not been animated yet, that is the part where I was like, dude, like, how could I not ever have liked Suzuki before this? Because he is just on fire, and it is so cool to see him grow, to see him be not this new guy. He's still his snarky self. He still likes to jab, and that's just who he is. But when it comes to volleyball, and you see how he was in the beginning, and then you just see him just keep growing, and these people, these other characters come into his life and they just help him bloom even if he wasn't ready to bloom. And as he says, Yamaguchi, who's also super amazing, who is super amazing, I should say, he is always one step ahead of Suzuki. And Yamaguchi, I really loved his character. I feel like he was probably one of the most relatable characters on the Karasuno team that's not a monster, in how, you know, he really struggled with fear in the beginning, and now he becomes this excellent, awesome, sharp spear that just has a little bit of fear in other people's hearts when he goes up to serve. And just seeing him, oh, his precious face, because he's so cute with his little freckles, is just everything. I love Yamaguchi. Like, I feel like he's one of my, like, personal Karasuno underrated characters, because he's very quiet, but I feel like he's Hinata's really good friend, and I love their little interactions together when they do things. It's just so wholesome, and I love it so, so much. And speaking of, well, not speaking of, but transitioning to another character, Tanaka. Oh my goodness. So I liked Tanaka in the beginning, but I feel like I missed out on how awesome he was when I first started the anime. I don't know why that is, okay? I truly don't. But when I was reading the manga, let me finish the statement before I start on a different statement. But when I was reading the manga, I was like, dude, I was like, Tanaka is super cool. Again, like, I knew this, like, going in, but I don't know. I had a new appreciation for his character and just how he's there, and just his attitude and just his personality and just really everything that he is and what he brings to the team and how he's there for Hinata. Like, he just knows how to say things, and I feel like he just lifts up Hinata. Like, there's a really good moment that happens later on that was like, dude, you just made Hinata cry, but it was like a good cry, and I was just like, Tanaka, you're so, so cool. And one thing that I want to say that I found very fascinating when I was reading is that when I watched the anime, well, I watched the anime first, and so I had met all the characters. I knew who the characters were. I was familiar with the characters, but then when I started the manga, it was like people that I may have not been super fond of in the anime, I like became fond of in the manga. Like, Tanaka is a good example in the beginning, and I feel like I'm hesitant to say this character because they're not like my super favorite, but again, as Sensei is like, I feel like, and I even mentioned it in my last week's video, or not last week, but the video earlier this week on the Top 5 Wednesday favorite reads of this year, that Sensei has this incredible way of, like, you may feel like, okay, you don't like this character, and Sensei's like, we're gonna change your mind. And that happened with me with everybody. Like, by the end, by volume 45, there wasn't one character that I didn't like, or that I disliked. There we go. I had to make sure I said that right. That I didn't dislike. And Ushijima was a really good example of this, because he was probably, I'd say near the beginning, was one of the characters that, not the super beginning, but I feel like one of the first characters that I really, really disliked. Outside Suzuki. Suzuki I didn't like, but that whole match with Shira Torizawa, I remember that. I was practicing that when I was reading, and just that whole, yeah, here we go, that whole, don't mind the library barcode there, but that whole match with Ushijima, that's when my view of Suzuki started changing. And then that's when, yeah, I was like, Ushijima, I do not like you whatsoever. And then we meet another character. Where is he at? Here we go. I found, sorry, I have like all the volumes all over the place. But Korai, yes, he was the other character I did not super like, and he was the guy I thought of actually when I did my Top 5 Wednesday video this week. But yeah, by the end, I liked him, and I liked Ushijima. They're not my favorite characters by any means, but I definitely saw this growth in myself of characters who I didn't like, and then coming to like. I mean, honestly, you just fall in love with all these characters. Like, there's no way to just hate one character, especially when they have this amazing growth. Like, it's just so hard because you see their backstories, and you see how they grow and how they change, and you see their motivation behind what they do. And I think sometimes it can be easy to hate on the players that are like super, super good. That's so bad to say. And I was actually thinking about like why I feel that could sometimes be true even in fiction, is because I was thinking of a few popular like football players, not going to say their names, but they're so good. And sometimes, like, when they whip your team, you know, your football team or the team that you like, you're like, ugh, I just can't stand this guy. And it's like, because you know they're so good. They're putting in the time. They're putting in the effort. And they just don't quit. They're just the best of the best. They're the GOATs. And I feel like, yeah, that it was very much like that in this manga. But then you see the backstory and then you see their drive, you know, and it comes down to where you're like, you know, I see that they're just really passionate and that they just really love volleyball. And all of these teams do. And I was trying to think what would be my favorite matches. And that's really, really hard to say because I feel like the matches as like it progresses just literally gets more intense and they get so much longer. Like even if it's not going to 5 sets like it was for the Ushijima match, another match that happens, I'm trying to definitely keep that spoiler free because especially if people are only watching the anime, this has not been animated. But when you get to a certain match and it's not 5 sets, but by golly, it felt like it was 5 sets for sure. So when I definitely think of, yeah, my top 3 favorite matches, I always come back to this one because it is the one I think where I was the most emotionally invested and that I cried when the match ended. But I'm going to say like for when it came to the actual like prelims, not the practice match, and that's when they versed Aoba Josai. I think I said that right. I don't even know what to say here. I honestly don't even know what to say here. I love the Great Kings team and I hardcore became a fan of all their third years. I was like, after I finished this like arc, or however you would say that, I'm really bad at keeping up with like what are the different arcs to be honest, but after like this match, I was like, dude, I need a bunch of merch of them because I love them. They are so great and their team dynamics are everything. And Iwa-chan, oh my goodness, like I don't even know who would be my favorite. And it's just funny because yeah, I did not love them as much in the anime. Definitely was not like a dislike, but like in the manga, I was like, they're so amazing. And it was so, so emotional. And I just love the dynamics between their team and Karasuno. Like, it's so, so good. I really, really, really enjoyed that. I think, too, that's where you start seeing the gears coming together for Karasuno. And then, of course, like, the Great King and them, they're like, oh, we're just gonna throw a wrench in your gears. And they bring in Mad Dog. And that was really good because I definitely didn't like Mad Dog. But then, yep, by the end of that match, I definitely started to like Mad Dog as well. I think for the next one, that was probably one of my favorites as well, was the glorious and amazing match with Nekoma. Like, dude, Kenma is savage. Like, straight up, he is savage. Like, woo, like, the volumes in that match were so incredibly intense. I mean, it was something else. Like, it was amazing. It was so good. It was phenomenal. It was definitely, yeah, one of my favorites. And seeing Kenma just himself go to a different level and master a certain instinct, as he would say, was everything. It was extremely good, and I cannot wait to see that animated because like seeing both of these teams come together and seeing how great of a matchup that they are, and seeing just Kenma in this mode of where he's so analytical and he's breaking things down and he's just trying to shut Hinata down and shut Karasuno down. Like the things that he does again are very savage. Like he he has to be one of the best setters in that, how tricky he is. Like when you see him outwardly or physically, a lot of people in the manga, like the characters I mean, did that where they're like, that's the setter? Like dude, but then you see him play and you're like, oh, that's why he's the setter, and he was just really, really good. Like the whole team, I absolutely loved it. And when my guy here, right here, Inuoka, oh, I love him. He's one of my favorite players, and I'm like, he's so underrated, but he's so cool. Like I feel like he's like Hinata's sort of like ultimate rival, but in like the most friendliest of ways. I love when they talk and they're just so great. They're just so great together. And so I was so excited to see him come play in this match. That was everything for me. I really, really loved it. But if we're going to talk about the ultimate match that was hands down my favorite, it has to be the Black Jackals match. Like, dude, like I know that does not say anything. It was so good. Like the way that this manga wrapped up was everything. And not this volume, I believe it was volume 40, was it, yeah, 43, was seriously like cloud 9 for me. I mean, there's so much I would want to say, but this has to be one of the best matches, and I love the Black Jackals team. They are my second favorite team, hands down. Karasuno's first, Black Jackals is second. Like, watching them is just so much fun. I mean, they have an energy that just wraps around you, and I honestly really wished I had been in the stadium and just part of that crowd cheering for these guys, because the match, I think, was definitely intense, but I mean, it's like two powerhouse teams coming together and just sparks are flying everywhere. Like, it is just so good, and it is the perfect way to end this series and having the ultimate matchup with some of our favorite characters from the series as a whole. So, so good, and it is going to be glorious when it has been animated. Like, dude, like, oh, I cannot wait. I honestly cannot wait, but this ultimately, yeah, was definitely my favorite match. Seeing Hinata truly level up and just even surprise me was just so amazing. It was so great. It was so good. Now, one thing that I want to spotlight real quick is there were 3 characters. Oh my goodness, there were 3 characters that I just fell head over heels. Like, I don't know what it is, but I absolutely love them. And we're gonna start off with the first guy here, because he's so precious. Goshiki! Oh my goodness! I love Goshiki. In fact, I got my first Goshiki pin recently from Aquadelia, and oh, I love him. I love him. He's so precious. And oh, it was just amazing when he comes back in later volumes and you get commentary from him. Oh, I loved it. I loved it so much. Like, every time he came on page, I was so, so happy. Like, he's just so wholesome and sweet, and he's so good. But he's always like getting sort of knocked down, like he's not good, but he is so excellent. He's such a great character and such a great player. I really, really love him. So I don't know which volume it was when we first meet him, but it's when, as Bokuto says, it's when they're playing the kitty cats. But oh my goodness, yep, I was definitely team him as well, and he's right here. His name is Konoha. He is Mr. Jack of all trades, and I love him. Oh, I loved his character so much. He is such a great guy. He's so funny, and I love how he's just a really, he's like that underrated player, but literally he can do everything and anything. I was trying to find this really good panel with him, but I'm not able to find it. I'm pretty sure it's in this one, but it's great. It's just so good. I took so many different pictures when I was like reading all these volumes, but yeah, he's not just in this one. This was a really excellent and just great match. But oh, I love Konoha. I need more merch of him. Like, seriously, like, I need to go find a pin of him because I need him in my collection. He doesn't get a lot of page time, but he still captured my heart. I love him so much. And the other guy, oh my goodness. And the other guy, oh my goodness, is Keita. Keita-san! Oh, I love Keita. So, like, I mean, I saw him in the anime and I was like, he's okay. But then when I got reading the manga, and he is just amazing. He is so great. Like, when we get spotlight or, like, he comes in and has, like, an appearance, I totally was like giggling and smiling. He is a really, really great character, and I am just so hyped for him. I really, really love him. I'm like, I need a Keita pin, and he is just a great captain, and he really knows how to bring out like the feels and the emotions, and he is so opposite of our twins here, but just the dynamics just of their team. This was a great match. I loved this match too, but just the dynamics is just everything. Like, Keita is a great guy, and I loved just the ending with him. That was absolute perfection, and it definitely made me cry when I read the end, especially like with his part. Now, I know I talked about my 3 favorite matches, the 3 guys that are not Karasuno that I absolutely loved, but the one, or like the 3 things that really stood out to me as being probably like my all-time favorite. Well, probably for the first one. So I gotta dig through volumes again to find that cover. I'm pretty sure I've said it before, but volume 42 is one of my favorite volumes, and we see a really great, like, half of this volume includes Hinata and this character, and it was definitely one of my favorites. I loved the Brazilian arc so much, It was very, very good. And I think it was good, not just because it was good by itself, but like Sensei broke my heart. Like he broke my heart at the end of volume 41, and then he broke my heart in the first half of volume 42. And then it's like you really have an emotional change shift in the series. And since I just stitched it back together, it was so good. Like, this is the volume I actually I read in January. I think it was January 23rd is what my Goodreads said. And then I read this like December 23rd or something like that. No, it had been this week. What did I say, December 27th or whatever. But it was just amazing to come back and read this in all of its fullness, because this was a cover buy for me, hands down. I just loved it. But then reading that second half was just that much more satisfying. And then continuing the Brazilian arc into the next volume. I love the Brazilian arc so much. I love how it affects Hinata and just makes him the character that he is today. And just not Hinata, but volume 40 has the ace on it. I don't know if I know where that volume is right now, to be honest. No, I don't know where that volume is. Oh, just King Asidhu. Volume 40 made me cry. I have realized this past year that when I read any kind of manga that touches, just no matter how briefly, touches on depression, it makes me really emotional. And I think that's just because this last half year has been hard, and I feel like I've had to fight depression a little bit more often than I usually do. And the ace talks about depression, and it was very, very moving. And it was I'm not going to say the perfect way to wrap up his personal arc or his personal growth, but it was so good. It was so good. And I was just like, this will be a favorite for me because of just how emotionally moving and how relatable he was. And just when he talks about spiraling downward, and I'm just like, Ace, I really felt his heart on page. This is such a fantastic volume, and one I could see myself coming back just to read for that alone, because I just found it encouraging. And I think because manga is my happy place. And so when you have characters that you love so much and they come into your life and they talk about real things that you personally struggle with, and it's just like, dude, I'm not alone. Like, even if a bunch of real life people came and share the same thing, you'll still feel like, man, I'm not alone. But then like, let like somebody like the Ace, somebody that you wouldn't expect to maybe feel that way, and they're just a fictional character, and I don't know, it just rocks my world. I had that happen with Strobe Edge Volume 6, one of my favorite volumes for that reason alone. And this was another one. This honestly was another one that really, I don't want to say wrecked me, because it didn't wreck me and leave me hopeless, but it really moved my heart. It really, really touched me, and I was thankful just that my heart was stitched back together on that last arc with the Black Jackals and just that whole match, because that's definitely one of my favorite arcs as well. I love that. I feel like there's just this huge momentum that builds just, or like is accelerating in that last few volumes. That is just, it's just everything. It really just is. And you see the things that happen throughout this manga, like maybe that mistakes were made or situations that affected them that were outside of their control but had a huge impact on them. And it helped shape them be the guys that they are today. And it was everything, guys. It honestly was. I loved it so, so very much. Like, this series is so special, and I'm so thankful and feel so blessed to have read it, to have this series recommended to me. And I recommend it to you, friends, that even if you're like, well, I can't commit to this manga, please go watch the anime. I know it could sound weird, like I said at the beginning, where you're like, I don't like volleyball, I don't like sports, but Hinata is so incredible. And not just Hinata, but every single player. It is, what is her name? There was a girl that's, she's one of the cheerleaders for the Nekoma team, or on the cheer squad, and she says, go ahead and watch everybody on that court. There's not a single person out there that's not amazing to watch. And it gives me goosebumps just talking about it, because it's so true for this whole series. There's not one single player that's not amazing to watch, and I feel like and personally inspire us as readers to just touch us. Like, they're more than just fictional characters in this awesome volleyball anime. They jump off the page and they just encourage you and spur you on to chase your dreams, to not give up, to keep trying, do what you can to be the best that you can be. So amazingly awesome, so good. I loved this so much, and I'm so thankful that Sensei shared this story with us. And that, my friends, concludes my thoughts. I loved it so very much. Totally let me know, have you read Haikyuu? What are your thoughts on it? Who are some of your favorite characters? I would love to hear from you guys. And if there's another sports manga that you recommend that I need to check out, totally let me know. I would love to hear from you, friends. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And thank you so much for watching. Bye!